Video is something that needs to be integrated across the whole gamut of their marketing and sales approach in a business. And when you educate first, that leads to sales second.
It was so great when I met you because, like, as soon as I heard you talking, and I was like, yeah, yes, why isn't everybody else doing this? You know, it just makes damn sense. No, yeah, it's the outcome that we want. We don't, you know, and I tell people that too. We're not selling video. We're selling the outcome that video provides.
Hey, I'm Armando Leduc, producer, film actor, and owner of Leduc Entertainment. I've chosen a life off the beaten path and wanted to find others that are doing the same. Spaghetti on the Wall is a show based on all of the years that I've thrown spaghetti on the wall and nurtured what stuck. We will share fun stories, ideas, tips, tricks, and more. Welcome to Spaghetti on the Wall.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on when you're consuming this beautiful podcast, Spaghetti on the Wall. Ladies and gentlemen, Ben Amos. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Armando. It's awesome to be here.
Dude, it's been quite an ordeal and journey to get our schedules to match, because you're in Australia and I'm here in New Orleans.
That's right. And we're just talking about the fact that it's early in the morning on a Friday here and it's later in the evening on a Thursday over there. And
yeah,
time zones are crazy.
Time zones are crazy, man. It's wild, you know, and I was, Angus, I just had him on my podcast. And it is just so crazy to me now, like in 2023, how easy it is to connect with people around the world. And why are we still like thinking so small? You know, a lot of people thinking so small. And I'm like, man, we have the entire world as our playground. What are we doing?
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the amount of business we're doing in all sorts of different time zones with all sorts of different people around the world is incredible. But the people I get to meet as well, and that's how we met. You know, that's why I go across the world to the US to conferences when I can, because I get to meet awesome people like yourself and Angus and others.
Yeah, man. So you have a video production company.
I do
in Australia. Talk about how you got started in it, and you know what drove you to do it.
Yeah, sure. So I've been running this company. It's called Innovate Media, as a video production company here in Queensland, Australia, for about 15 years now. And prior to that, I was a high school teacher. I taught film and media and drama in secondary schools. And so that's kind of what I did after I left schooling myself. Went back into school basically, but I was at the front of the classroom rather than at the back, not paying attention. And but I always had a passion, or ever since I was a kid, in creating video content. My dad had a large, VHS kind of camcorder that went one on one shoulder, and then you had the recorder hanging on a strap on the other shoulder, and a battery pack on the other shoulder.
Yeah, man.
And I was playing with that from when I was from as early as I was allowed to touch it, and then editing videos like VHS tape to VHS, and so I've always had a passion for it. So after teaching for a while, I left teaching and just started my own thing 15 years ago and haven't looked back. And it's been a wild ride into this world of entrepreneurship and business ownership. And but I love it. I don't think I could do anything else now.
Dude, same. It's so funny how similar that story is, because my dad's same. Always have the camera on, and I was always like trying to write like scripts and all right, and this is what's gonna happen now, and it was so I didn't even think about how that back in the day in the childhood brought me to this point, right? Because I was like always telling stories and always wanted to do that. Were you an actor? Did you act?
I did some acting, because as you go through university and you learn to become a drama teacher, that you do some acting, but I was always much more passionate about the technical theatre side of things. I wanted to be like in the sound, the lighting, and the theatre production side of things, and that's, I guess, aligned with a bit of my technical focus in video production. But I've always loved storytelling like yourself, and I always love the idea of creating experiences for people, whether that be on live theatre or through the screen. So But never professional acting, never been paid for that. Always focused on the creation instead.
That's cool, man. So how big is your company?
So there's 5 of us in total. We have a couple of video producers. We have an account manager, coordinator of everything, including myself, and we have a marketing assistant as well. So that's kind of the makeup of the company right now.
That's cool. And so are you guys doing everything under the sun, from, commercials to music videos to weddings, or you guys specifically focusing on one thing? Or
so we specialize in, the way we describe it is we're a strategy first production company. So what that means is it's about working with our corporate clients or our business clients on developing the video strategies behind the content that we're going to create before we create any piece of content, and then helping them execute and implement that. So I would say, as opposed to, a straight down the line production company, which is just about making videos, we're more about, getting the results with the videos for our clients and being part of that whole journey rather than just in the production element. So what that means in reality is we're working with corporate clients, with business clients of all sizes, from small business up to major enterprise, in creating any sorts of video content that lead people towards a sale or retaining a customer with a client. So it's all online. Everything we do is online. We don't do any broadcast anymore. We don't do TV commercials. We don't touch music videos. We don't touch like real estate listings videos. And there's a whole range of things that production companies can do, but we specialize in making sales and getting results with video for our clients.
I love that. So maybe talk to me about how you guys, sort of created your process and strategy.
Yeah, so for us it was, I kind of fell into it somewhat. I think, as a creative and not a marketer, I came into video production wanting to make video like many of us do. We want to just, get a camera. We want to get paid to create video content. And so then we go out and we find, businesses, or maybe it's weddings. I had a start in creating wedding videos, but I moved quickly away from that. But, we go out and we try and figure out who's going to pay us to make video content. And that was the same story for me like 10 years ago. And I remember a point around about 8 years ago in the business when we'd started creating content for businesses, local businesses here in our area. And there was a particular client that we worked with, and they'd spent about $5,000 on what I would call a brand video. So a video, like a hero video for the front of their website. And they were really proud of what we'd created for them. They loved it. They paid us. We moved on and, patted ourselves on the back and went to go and find another client to make videos for. But I remember this particular client, for some reason, being a bit inquisitive about things, I checked back on what they had actually done with that video 6 months later. And at that point, 6 months after finishing the video and getting paid, all that they'd done that I could find is they'd stuck it up in a little corner of their website and a YouTube link, and all that they had achieved from that was 34 views on YouTube. So I checked into their YouTube channel and I'm like, you can see how many view count, right? And so it was 34 views. I remember that number really clearly. And I realized at that point that there was something missing there. Like, clearly that's not a return on their investment, right? $5,000, 34 views. Most of that was probably their mum, their employees, whatever, who had seen that video. And so I realized that something needed to change. And I realized that we weren't having that conversation around strategy with our clients. Our clients weren't going to an agency to have a conversation around marketing strategy. They were a small business. And they were just coming to us for a video, and we were delivering a video. But what they were really coming to us for was the results that video would hopefully achieve for their business, and we weren't delivering that. So that was kind of a mindset shift for me that kind of led me down this road now 8 years later of that drives everything that we do in our business is understanding and developing effective video strategy for our clients so that we can implement and execute the right videos for the right purpose, use them in the right way so that they get the right results. And we can talk through a little bit about what that framework or process looks like, but that was really the catalyst. And now, wherever we can as a production company, we're wanting to have that strategic conversation with our clients so that we're not, I guess, just leaving them high and dry like we did that original client.
I think it's mind-blowing how many videography companies are still hooked on the idea of creating a commercial, and then that's it. And I'm like, guys, how much money you're leaving on the table is insane. You know what I mean? And the thing is, like, just like you're talking about, a lot of these people don't know what they're doing with these videos unless they have, like, you know, a media buyer that's putting it on TV, you know. But other than that, it's like one commercial. What is that going to do? Like, it does, you know, oh man, it does nothing. Why do you think that, and look, I'm not complaining because, you know, it's less competition for me, you know, but why aren't these videography companies like getting it? Like, they don't understand that this is the new way.
I think it comes down to what I said before, is the reason why many of us get into starting a video business in the first place is because we're creatives at heart, and we want to get paid to make beautiful images. You know, we want to get paid to create art, in inverted commas, right? And what we tend to do is we tend to find that the people who want us to make videos, particularly when we're starting out, when we're not at, like, you know, high-level Hollywood DOP kind of level, you know, or creating, you know, feature films or Super Bowl commercials, you know, that kind of work exists, right? But that's the kind of work that you tend to get through an agency where they're controlling the strategy. And there are plenty of video producers or production companies that work in that space, and that's fine. They don't need to have those strategic conversations with their clients. They just need to deliver on a brief. But as the demand for video content has grown exponentially over the last, you know, 10 years, you know, with the rise of video content online, more and more video producers are, you know, starting businesses because it's easier than it ever has been. But then they're not realizing that it's not the videos that people actually want. It is, as I said before, the results that people want. And if they're not making that connection, then they're missing the point, I believe. So, yeah, I mean, I'm really passionate about this. And so, you know, alongside my Innovate Media, my video production company, I started, you know, around about 7 years ago, I started a brand called Engage Video Marketing, which is all about educating around video strategy. And now, you know, I've worked with over 120 video producers to kind of take them through that process of becoming confident video strategists. So,
cool.
You know, I'm big on educating our industry about video strategy and this idea of a video strategist, which really didn't exist, you know, 10 years ago.
I think there needs to be more of that for sure. What happened? That just got brighter.
Yeah, your light came on.
It has its own mind, man. It's, you know, it's AI, dude. He just, you know, he wants to do what he wants to do. But yeah, dude, it's like education, and understanding and following the people that, like, are doing it currently, understand, you know, what the outcome is and can really take you to that point is, you know, is key, in my opinion. Like, I think if you're out there and you're listening right now and you're like, man, I don't know why my business is not doing well, then, you know, reach out to, like, Ben over here and, you know, and get educated on how to, like, take that business to the next level, you know?
Yeah, I think education's key, right? I mean, everything that we do, even in our own business, and kind of, and maybe it comes down to, for me, you know, former teacher. You know, education's been everything that I've done in my adult life, and probably even prior to that. But, you know, a big part of what I want to do is to educate around this in that world of video strategy or video strategists. But education is key in everything that we do with our clients as well, because when our clients come to us, when our video clients come to us, that they think they want a video, right? They think they're coming to us for a video. They're looking for a video production company. They're not searching for, I need a video strategist. That's not a Google search term, right? They're not doing that. They're searching for, I need a corporate video, or I need a video for my website, or they're being referred to us because someone said you need a video. Now, we need to shift the conversation and we need to point them towards the fact that, okay, we can talk about the video that you think you want, but instead let's talk about the results you want. Let's talk about your business, where it's at right now. What are you struggling with? What, stage of that customer journey or the customer funnel where are the gaps in your business? Where can we plug those gaps with the right videos? And if we flip the conversation and educate our clients as well around what video strategy actually is, then their light bulb kind of, and I've seen this time and time again in these conversations with clients, the light bulb kind of switches on and they're like, right. So you're more than a video production company. You care about the results that this video is going to give to us.
Yeah.
And what that leads to as a production company is it leads to usually you don't just sell one video to that client. You become that trusted partner with them, and either you can lead them towards retainers where they are doing things with you time and time again, or they just come back to you time and time again for the next piece of content because you've planted the seed right at the start that video is not just a one and done anymore. Video is something that needs to be integrated across the whole gamut of their marketing and sales approach in a business. And when you educate first, that leads to sales second.
This is my phrase. You can take it if you want to, but you're preaching to the preacher, my friend. You're preaching to the preacher. I was like, dude, it's like the same. It was so great when I met you because, like, as soon as I heard you talking, and I was like, yes, why isn't everybody else doing this? It just makes damn sense. No, it's the outcome that we want. We don't, and I tell people that too. We're not selling video. We're selling the outcome that video provides. So you're a family guy?
I'm a family guy. Yeah, I've got a lovely wife and 2 daughters.
How do you manage that,
busy.
man? How you managing that whole work-life balance thing?
I think I'm fortunate. Where we live here, on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, Australia, work-life balance it's just ingrained in our culture here somewhere.
That's cool.
So it's definitely not a hustle mentality. It's definitely not the kind of place that, you're expected to be, answering emails and answering phone calls, after 5 p.m., and I think that's part of the Australian culture, but, probably less so in some of the busier capital cities. But we're only an hour away from our major capital cities, so, we do a lot of work there, but we get that work-life balance. So, I think I'm fortunate in that, like just culturally in where I live, but also it's about managing that time. It's about, I don't have an office at home. I come to the office here where it's only like 7 minutes drive away. So I come to the office when I do work, and then, I go home and I'm at home. And sometimes that bleeds through into home, but I try not to let it. But look, it's always a challenge, isn't it? Work-life balance. Is there such a thing?
I don't necessarily think it necessarily is. I think you have seasons, right? Like, I think sometimes you have a season of like, oh my God, it's like super, super busy. And then it's not so much, And so knowing when those ebbs and flows are and being okay with like, oh, all right, it's not as busy right now. Let's enjoy this time, because it will get busy again. So understanding that more of a wave approach than, a balancing act.
Yeah. I think one of the best things that I've learnt more over recent years as our kids have got a little bit older, they're 11 and 9 years old now, is communication as well. Communication with my spouse and communication with the kids, because sometimes the kids they wonder why you're not here when they wake up in the morning, during those busy times, and they wonder why you're not coming home till late at night in those busy times. But I just talk to them about some of the stuff that I'm doing in terms that they understand, and they get excited about it. They're like, "Yay, go, Dad!" So I think communication is key, and of course communication with your spouse, so they know, look, we're coming up to a busy time. It's going to be hectic. Can I get your support through this? And if you have a supportive spouse, then you'll do the same in the reverse when they're coming up to some crazy busy times in whatever they do in their life as well. So. Yeah, communication, I think, is key.
That's great. So tell me about, I really want to know more about Australia, because I don't really know much, in terms of, I grew up in Europe. My dad was in the military, so I grew up in Europe. And then, I live in the United States. So in terms of, like, what's the money in Australia? Is it?
Dollars.
It is dollars.
Australian dollars, yeah.
Okay. Is it similar to the U.S. dollar in terms of, like how expensive it is?
I think it's usually, one Australian dollar buys like a $1.30 US something. No, so it's the other way around. So usually the US dollar is stronger than the Australian dollar. So, things cost more for Australians in the US. But, we're kind of matched against the US dollar. So, things come up and down and we get changes all the time. But yeah, so if you bring your Australian dollars down under, you'll probably find things a bit cheaper.
Gotcha.
It depends though, right? Like in my experience in the US, there's certain things that I'm surprised are more expensive, and there are certain things that we take for granted in Australia that are just really affordable. Particularly certain fresh fruits, vegetables, and all this kind of good stuff that we grow locally here. You can get really affordably. So it depends, right? Different things are kind of weighted differently.
What is it like in terms of, like, is it easy to open up a business in Australia?
Look, I imagine it's probably fairly similar to the US. Anyone can start a business.
Okay.
The challenge is finding clients and making that business successful. I think our stats probably align very similar with the US, that majority of small businesses close within the first, 12 to 24 months. Because most people, they love the idea of business ownership. They love the idea of freedom, not working for the man, that kind of thing. But it's hard, right? It's hard to get a business off the ground. So, but yeah, there's nothing holding people back. Like, I think we're very much an entrepreneurial kind of nation. Maybe there's a bit more of what we would call the tall poppy syndrome in Australia than there is in the US. Have you heard of that term before, Armando? So the tall poppy, like in the poppy field, is the one that would get cut down, right? So if you stick your head up out of the crowd, so to speak, we have a bit of a culture in Australia of cutting down the people who step up and step out, and that can apply to starting a business, because particularly if you come from a family or a friendship group or an area of Australia where it's more common that people are going to go into a safe job, or they're going to go and take salaried employment somewhere. The idea of stepping up and stepping out and starting your own thing can sometimes be a challenge for people, because people want you to stay in your lane. People want you to just keep doing what you're doing. But that doesn't prevent many people from actually taking action, because there's so many great Australian entrepreneurial success stories, and from small businesses right up to massive brands like Canva, for example, that you'd be familiar with, started in Australia as a small business.
Oh, that's cool. Had no idea.
Yeah, so there's lots of good stuff.
That happens
down under.
What's the taxes like? Do they tax you guys pretty heavy?
Yeah, like company tax 30%, I think, top of my head. Accountants deal with that, but our sales tax is 10%, which applies to all business transactions, and it's applied automatically, or it has to apply automatically when a sale is made, except for there's no GST. GST is our goods and sales tax of 10%. No GST on like fresh fruit and vegetables and that kind of stuff, but GST applies to everything else. So all the sales we make, we have to charge 10% more. 10% goes to the government, all that sort of good stuff. But yeah, so that's kind of look. It's not excessive. I think we're in financially, it's a great country to be in, and a great country to run a business in.
I know over here there's a lot of loopholes in terms of taxes, right? And like the more money you make, you can create tax shelters and things like that. Is that the same in Australia?
Yeah, I believe it's very similar. Look, it's not a space I play in a lot. Living by the board and paying the taxes where I need to, even though I don't want to. But definitely, at the upper end of enterprise and wealth, there are plenty of people doing plenty of things that probably legal, but seem like they shouldn't be.
Yeah. I get it. Just always wondered, how similar and how, different things really are.
I think there's a lot of similarities generally. I think
I
you'll
think so
find,
too.
like, day-to-day living culturally, a lot of Australians go and live in America, and a lot of Americans come and live in Australia. And I think the reason why they do that is there's just a lot of alignment with our cultures, with living expectations and all of that sort of stuff. We just have better beaches down here. I'll just put that one out there.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you. Although I'm from Puerto Rico, so we have some pretty stellar beaches there. But I don't know. We'll see. I know you guys have some really good surfing out where you're at.
Yeah. You'll have to come down and check it out.
Dude,
So
on my list, let me tell you. And now that I have a contact, even more so. So, what is the name of your company? It's Innovate?
Innovate Media.
Innovate Media. I love that. And so what's your goal for the next, what do you think 5 years is looking like for you?
Yeah, 5 years is a long time in business and in digital marketing space that we play in, isn't it? We basically, for me, it's about continuing doing what we're doing, continuing to being best in our industry at what we do, and continuing to innovate. It's in the name of the company, and what that means is moving with the industry as well. So, as the world of video production and video marketing changes, we want to be, as close to the forefront as we can be for our clients. And sometimes the struggle with that is getting our clients to move as fast as the industry is moving as well, because, often they want what they know, and sometimes they are a little bit more resistant to, some ideas we might suggest that seem a little bit more forward thinking. But our goal as a company is to continue to grow. We don't want to be huge. We have a 3-year vision. We don't have a 5-year vision really. We have a 3-year vision to effectively double the size of our team and triple the revenue of the company. So that's the 3-year vision, and we're on our way to make that happen. But it's a fun ride we get to play.
I love it, man. Are you looking at doing any creative-based things, any narrative projects that you have in your back pocket?
Yeah, I've thought about this, and I've had it in the back of my mind for years. But as I kind of became a family man and had kids, and the time outside of the day-to-day business is precious, right? So I think I can definitely see that as our kids move into secondary school and out of schooling, in the next 5 to 10 years, I think I'll find a lot more time to, exercise some of that passion muscle. And I'm looking forward to it, But I don't know whether or not I'll be wanting to kind of drive down that creative route, or, I don't know, just travel more and see the world more and do some of that. So who knows? But yeah, I mean, right now I get a lot of creative motivation from just running and growing a business. Even though I'm a creative at heart, I've become much more passionate about business, about marketing, about business growth, and helping other people with that as well through some of the coaching that I do. That really fires me up. And yeah, so I mean, maybe I'm less of a creative at heart and more of an entrepreneur at heart, but I don't know. Everything changes after a few years.
Really does, right?
Reinventing myself.
What was important in our 20s, definitely not as important in our 30s and 40s. I don't know if you're 40.
Right.
I'm just assuming.
Yeah, no, I'm 42.
I'm 43, right
42, and yeah, just, body's falling apart. Health becomes a priority in your 40s, right?
Dude, yeah. I went and got some lab work, and was not good. So it's like, all right, paying my doctor to tell me that I need to lose weight. So I'm like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
get
well,
it.
I
So
just
yeah, you
found
got
out I've got
definitely.
I've got high blood pressure, and like I've got to sort out my high blood pressure. Oh man, we're like old people falling apart.
Yeah.
But you know, that's the thing, right? Things change, and as you say, like the priorities you had in your 20s and in my 30s, and even now in my 40s, like as my kids get a bit older and I've got more time, you know, I'd probably prefer to spend that time like, you know, being active and you know, I've taken up scuba diving and
Oh, that's
you know,
fun.
I'm loving that stuff. So,
Yes.
you know, there's stuff I want to do with my time that maybe isn't, you know, making videos when I'm not being paid to make videos. So
True that. I don't know. I just have this sort of just movie ideas and show ideas that I'm like, I will get this off the ground, you know. But I also grew up as an actor, so I'm like, I need that outlet, and I'm tired of jumping through Hollywood hoops to like do, you know, their movies, you know, for just the audition process. You know, I'm just like, ugh, you know.
yeah.
But I still do it. Whatever. I had auditions today, you know, for a film that's being shot. So I still jump through hoops. Whatever.
Nice. I mean, that is a difference I'd probably say you'd notice in Australia is our industry, our film, our production industry. I mean, there's a lot that government's trying to do to improve that and to grow that and to, you know, keep more of our key talent in that space here in Australia. But, you know, compared to the industry in the US, it's a very different ballgame. So, you know, the idea of, you know, creating a show or getting a pilot off the ground or creating a short film or a feature and actually getting it much attention on it is a lot harder here in Australia. It's possible, and it happens
Possible for
sure.
sure. Yeah. I think with the advent of social media and doing that properly, which is the route I'm going to take with a project I'm developing called Life on Bourbon, and it's a street. You know, you're familiar with Bourbon Street, of course.
Yeah.
So, you know, I worked there for 8 years, and it was insane, you know, and so I'm like, there needs to be a comedy about this show, about this street, and so I'm writing it, you know, and so it's been good. I'm enjoying, you know, once again, that writing process, and, you know, and I have the equipment, so I'm like, well, why not? Just knock it out.
Yeah.
I don't have to get crazy with it and just release it on social media, and if it gets a following, great, and if it doesn't, well, then we're just doing some fun stuff that, you know, fills that void. So I enjoy it. Well, hey, Ben, tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, so look, if you're a podcast listener or viewer, which I assume you are because you're listening or viewing this one, I have a podcast called the Engage Video Marketing Podcast. Having Amando on the podcast too, so you can come listen to that episode. Best place for that's engagevideomarketing.com. That has links to everything that I do in that space. And if you want to check out my production company here in Australia, it's innovatemedia.com.au. Got the AU at the end for the Australian businesses. So, you know, if you are in Australia and you need help with video, then, you know, head to innovatemedia.com.au. But if you're outside of that and you just want to explore the world of video strategy and what that means to be a video strategist or to become better at video strategy, then everything's at engagevideomarketing.com.
Love it. Love it. Ben Amos. I was saying Amos, but it's Amos.
You can say it however you want to say it.
I appreciate it, man. Guys, that's Ben Amos. Visit his website. Visit his podcast. It's really, really, really cool to meet you, man. And I'm looking forward to possibly some collabs. So
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me on. It was a great chat.
all right, y'all. That was Spaghetti on the Wall, brought to you by Leduc Entertainment for all of your digital marketing needs, of course, social media. And you can always catch Spaghetti on the Wall, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, anywhere where you can find a podcast. And we'll see y'all next Friday.